What is up, guys? Luke Deutschlander here with another video. If you guys like my videos, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I super appreciate it. And the more comments, the more questions, the better, because I love being able to help people out. And, honestly, I love teaching people. So I hope you guys learned something from my videos. For those of you guys that are into phone flipping, even if you're not into phone flipping, maybe you guys just want some general business advice. This channel is good for that, and it's good motivation. So today, guys, I did want to talk about another video about phone flipping specifically. So I've been getting some questions on videos lately of people asking me, why do we typically appraise T-Mobile and Sprint as bad ESN? Why do we always do that? I want to give you guys a second before I talk about this. Maybe you guys want to drop a comment below and just say, maybe you've got a reason why you think we do this. But that being said, I'm going to jump right into it right now. So this is why we always appraise Sprint and T-Mobile as bad ESN. So for those of you guys that have been phone flipping, whether you're new to it or you're veterans, you guys should definitely know this. And if you don't, then I guess I wouldn't consider yourself a veteran. But the reason why we appraise T-Mobile and Sprint under everybody else is because of the fact, guys, that AT&T and Verizon are kind of like the leaders of the pack in the phone industry. AT&T and Verizon have the biggest, best networks. Now, I know you'll see TV commercials out there saying that Sprint and T-Mobile, that they have the same network and they offer lower prices. Well, no, you get what you pay for. The reason why Sprint and T-Mobile are cheaper than AT&T and Verizon is because I personally used both of their services before, and Sprint and T-Mobile do not have the same coverage as Verizon and AT&T. In fact, me and a couple friends actually tested this. We each grabbed a Sprint phone, one of us grabbed a T-Mobile phone, and then the other had an AT&T and the other had a Verizon. It was 4 of us, and we both went to different locations and tried calling each other. And then we both switched locations. Basically, each one of us went to a different location, and each one of us had a different carrier. And in certain spots, the Sprint and T-Mobile ones wouldn't work at all, and Verizon and AT&T worked absolutely fine. So all those commercials of, we all have the same network, everybody's got the biggest network, no, not true. In my personal experience, I'm not stating facts here, but in my personal experience, Verizon and AT&T are way ahead of the game. That being said, guys, here's how the carrier system works, and this is why we appraise Sprint and T-Mobile as bad ESN. So, another reason why, in my opinion, AT&T and Verizon are thriving in business compared to Sprint and T-Mobile, which actually was a failing company, and that's why they actually had to partner, is because of the fact that Sprint and T-Mobile always blacklist or block their devices from their network for non-payment. Now, the reason why this is a flawed business model is because, let's say, unsuspecting customer A buys a phone from scammer B. Scammer B knows that his phone has an unpaid balance on it, but unsuspecting customer A doesn't know because he's an average consumer. He's not a phone flipper. He buys that Sprint phone, right? Let's just say he buys a Sprint phone with a balance owed on it. Sprint will not allow him to activate that device on the network. And so for that reason being, Sprint just got scammed out of money from customer B, and then the new customer, customer A, that got the locked Sprint device is now pissed off at Sprint because of the fact that he just wasted, let's say, $500 on a phone that he can't even use. Now, he's an average consumer, doesn't know how to sell the phone online, so he's probably going to go and take it to a pawn shop and just dump the thing for a couple $100. So, not a happy customer. So, you got not a happy customer A, and you got scamming customer B. Now, that is the reason why Sprint and T-Mobile fail. They don't realize that when you block a phone, you are not only screwing yourselves, but you're actually screwing another potential customer. Now, where AT&T and Verizon have it right, typically AT&T and Verizon do not block their phones for non-payment. Now, if somebody went out and, got a brand new phone and maybe didn't make any payments on it at all, it's possible that AT&T and Verizon would block that. But in my personal experience, typically AT&T and Verizon phones don't end up getting blocked. And I think that's very smart on AT&T's part and Verizon. AT&T being the best, Verizon sometimes can be blocked. But AT&T is actually very smart by doing this because of the fact that although maybe one customer might finance a phone from AT&T and not pay it off, the new customer that picks that phone up will potentially eventually use that at AT&T's service, meaning that AT&T will recollect the business off of that phone. Although they won't necessarily make the money back on the device payment on the phone, that'll get covered by insurance, likely between corporate policies. However, AT&T will get the money off the service bill, which I think is very smart on AT&T's part. And so I kind of just wanted to explain this in this video because AT&T, hands down, in my opinion, I'm not trying to promote them or anything, but AT&T, in my opinion, very, very, very smart. And it makes complete sense. I remember when I first started in the phone flipping industry, guys, I actually got scammed by a bunch of T-Mobile phones that came back as clean IMEI. I also even called T-Mobile, which I know now doesn't really work because the carriers can't give you much information. I called T-Mobile and said, yeah, guys, I need to run these IMEIs with you. And T-Mobile says, yeah, they're clean, clear. Looks like they're brand new. T-Mobile failed to tell me that they were financed and that they would be blocked after a few months. That was a terrible mess. So that being said, I was out a bunch of money and I was also mad. I will never ever use T-Mobile because of that. Now AT&T, I know if I would have bought a device that wouldn't have been paid off, sure, I wouldn't have been able to unlock it, but I probably would have been able to use it on AT&T's network. And that is why AT&T has one of, if not the largest network and the largest customer base compared to Sprint and T-Mobile. So back to the main topic, guys. Sorry for getting off task there, but I figured you guys would kind of want to know that. That's kind of why the industry is the way that it is, because of the fact that, in my opinion, Sprint and T-Mobile's blocking process is kind of a failed business model compared to that of AT&T and Verizon. So anyways, down to the nitty gritty, guys. The reason why we appraise Sprint and T-Mobile as bad ESN is this. There's two reasons. So number one, Sprint and T-Mobile do block and ban their devices, basically, or label them as bad ESN when a payment is not made or when a payment is missed. Typically, this takes like 1 to 3 months. Now, the other reason why we always appraise them as bad ESN, and this is a big one, this one's actually more important than reason number one. Reason number two is because of the fact, guys, that Sprint and T-Mobile have credit policies that are much more lenient than AT&T and Verizon. So basically, a guy with, say, a credit score of like 700, he's most likely going to be going with AT&T or Verizon. See, Sprint and T-Mobile make these commercials where, you know, they claim that they have the largest network, etc., etc., etc. And because of that, it draws in customers that want to be on a budget. Now, there's nothing wrong with being on a budget, but typically those kind of commercials also draw people in who, you know, are kind of living on the edge, or people who are living in poverty, people who maybe shouldn't go out and buy a brand new phone, and, you know, they get all hyped up, they go finance a brand new phone, and then 2-3 months later, these people realize that they can't afford to make the device payments, and then they end up selling it to a pawn shop or a phone flipper, and, you know, the phone ends up getting dumped. So that is why we always appraise Sprint and T-Mobile as bad ESN, because 90% of Sprint and T-Mobile phones that are being resold typically have a balance owed on them. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I just sold something online, and that was super awesome. I love that ka-ching noise when something sells. Thumbs up if you guys like the ka-ching noise. Going back to that, guys, basically Sprint and T-Mobile, guys, they're the bottom feeders as far as credit leniency. They pretty much accept anybody. So you guys got to watch out for them. Watch out for Sprint and T-Mobile phones. Remember, calling the carrier isn't going to do anything. They're only going to tell you that the IMEI is good. Now, the IMEI might be good when you call, but if it's got a balance owed on it, it could easily get blacklisted or blocked a month later. And I keep saying blacklisted, but there is a difference. Just being blocked and locked to the network just basically means the phone can't be unlocked, and they probably won't activate it on the network. Blacklisted actually means that the phone is stolen, so you guys don't want to buy blacklisted phones. But basically, blocked or bad ESN, T-Mobile and Sprint, 90% of the time, guys, those phones have a balance owed on them because of the lower class customers that T-Mobile and Sprint acquire. And this is no way by any means a rip on Sprint and T-Mobile, but this is just the way that the industry is, and it's just the way that they set up their business model. And because of that, that is what happens with these phones. So that being said, guys, that is why we always appraise Sprint and T-Mobile as bad ESM. For those of you guys that have been commenting on my other videos and asking, you know, just basically asking me, why do we appraise them always as bad ESN? That is why, guys. Now, the only way I would ever pay somebody full price for a Sprint or T-Mobile phone is if they have a receipt from the phone company with a matching IMEI to the device showing that their account has been paid off in full. If they can't provide a receipt, or the customer comes up with some kind of excuse, guys, the phone is not paid for. Do not believe what the customer says unless they have a receipt, because you can call the carrier right there after you buy the phone with the IMEI, and the phone company or carrier will tell you, yeah, it's a clean IMEI. But if you ask, okay, is the phone fully paid off? They will not give you this information unless you're the original owner. So once you guys buy that phone, if you don't appraise it right, you could potentially get screwed. So that being said, guys, I hope this answers your questions. I hope I went into enough detail, and I hope this kind of helps you guys out. Make sure you guys just be careful on those Sprint and T-Mobile phones. And, unless the customer has a receipt, do not buy the story of, oh, it's paid off, or, oh, it's unlocked and it works on any network, especially if you find out that it's for Sprint or T-Mobile. Be careful with these customers. I don't want you guys to get scammed, and I want you guys out there making money. So that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will see you guys in the next one, and make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe.